What is up, film fans, and welcome to my brand spanking new YouTube channel called MC on Film, where I will be providing film reviews from a unique perspective, mine. Now, the very first film review I'm going to do on this channel is for one of the most anticipated, if not the most anticipated film of 2016, which is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And it's right there in the title, Star Wars, man. How can you not be excited, right? I'm a big Star Wars fan myself. I've been waiting for this film to come out. The trailers look really great. The cast is very diverse, which we haven't seen in Star Wars films to date. So my hopes are super high. Did the film live up to the hype? Unfortunately, not for me. I'll go into the reasons why. First of all, the characters are so weak in this film. I mean, watching the Star Wars saga, it's all about the characters. It's more about Han, Leia, Luke, Vader, Yoda, and even in the new series of films with The Force Awakens, you have Rey and Finn and BB-8, and you have all these great characters. That's what Rogue One lacks. And you're introduced to this band of, bandits or whatever you want to call them. They're not really law-abiding citizens. You're introduced to them, but you're not given any backstory, any motivation really for them to join the cause. They're just kind of like, hey, you want to come fight with us? Yeah, sure, I'll come fight with you. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's really no motivation for any of these characters to join this, awesome major fight. So that was really lacking for me. And the first, hour, half of this film is just build up going toward that final mission. And granted, the final act is pretty cool. You have some pretty cool action sequences in there, but without that investment in the story and the characters, I just didn't really care that much when it came to the finale. And I'm like, well, I don't really care if that person makes it or if that character eats it or not. I couldn't really care less. So without that investment in the characters, you're basically just watching like a video game movie where people are going pew 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 and just shooting stuff, and I just wasn't invested in the story at that point, and it just lost me. And that's the major flaw for me in this film, that they're trying to build up this new universe, let's say, kind of like a parallel universe to the Star Wars saga, and ultimately because of that lack of story and lack of character development, it just kind of felt unnecessary as a whole at the end. And there are times where you can actually feel the tonal shift in the movie, where there are edits or like story elements that didn't quite mesh, and I'm wondering if that's a result of the supposed rewrites and reshoots. I mean, and you can really tell. And even if you watch the trailers again, you'll notice that there's a lot of clips in the trailers that didn't make it in the final cut of the film, and I'm wondering if they were cut out because they didn't match with what was rewritten and reshot, which is kind of a shame because some of those shots are really cool. I think the film is a victim of the studio once again getting their hands too deep into the mix and just kind of screwing things up. The film does have its positives. I mean, first of all, Donnie Yen is in it, which is really cool. Previously, Donnie Yen was pretty much wasted in films like Shanghai Nights and Blade 3. I mean, come on, if you're gonna have Donnie Yen in your film, let him kick some ass. So he finally gets to do that in this film. So I was like, yeah, Donnie Yen's gonna be in it. And then they pretty much reduced him to spewing some fortune cookie bullshit. And when he does have his action sequences, they were pretty generic. I've been watching martial arts films for like 40 years, seriously. And I know Donnie is capable of so much more. And if the film was directed by another director named Gareth, who did the Raid movies, I think the fight scenes would have come off a lot more effective. But in Rogue One, Donnie just comes off okay. Oh, and there is one more really cool positive, and I'm not going to go into spoiler territory here, but a character that we are very familiar with gets a scene at the end of the movie where it just blows you away. I'm like, whoa, I want to see more of that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to give it away here, but when you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Rogue One was a nice attempt at building another side universe to the Star Wars saga. For me, the lack of character development was a big flaw that I could not overcome. It ended up with me being a little bored and not invested in the story. So ultimately, when the final act came, I was like, meh. So the final grade for me for Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is a 5 out of 10. So hope you like my movie reviews. If you do, please like, subscribe, comment on my channel below, and come back for more film reviews coming up. Thanks.